When I saw that someone stole $1 billion in NFTs by right-clicking all of them, I instantly wanted to steal them too. After all, it's just kind of funny the idea of having every NFT in existence contained in one single hard drive. Lucky for me, the person who created it hosted the project on something called NFT Bay, and he offered a torrent for anyone who wanted it. Yes, I know, lock me up. I was here to steal all your NFTs. That was the plan. Except, well, it was a pretty big file. Now, looking at my current disk size, I decided that would be kind of impractical. And even if I wanted to download this, it would take me like 6 months with my current internet speed. So my next idea was just to contact the creator, Jeffrey, and see if he'd be willing to help me find some way to get the files faster. I told him to think of the kids. His response was this. He said it's dangerous to actually get them. IPFS is essentially dark web. Downloading images from dark web and distributing them en masse would be a lovely way to get to jail fast, especially if you're talking about blindly just downloading them all. Now I was confused. He had downloaded them. Why couldn't I? He replied, I took steps to protect myself and anyone who jumped on the torrent. It's funny, actually. Maybe we can catch up tomorrow. I decided that would be a good idea. Maybe he could explain how I could get this $1 billion NFT heist. But when I got on the call, our conversation took a totally different turn, and I want you to hear it. Wait a second. The NFT Bay holds all the NFTs but doesn't?
No, it doesn't. When I created the project originally, I said it was an art project. And along the way, I realized to demonstrate the message that needed to be conveyed to teach people about NFTs, the actual data did not matter.
What is the message? I mean, you have a 17 terabyte file.
Well, the message is, what are people actually purchasing with NFTs? Coffee? Like, what do people think that they're actually purchasing?
I imagine they think they're buying a picture, basically, right? The rights to a picture. Most of the time. That's what most people think of NFTs as.
Yeah, the one way I like to look at it is you've got one side that's essentially selling a treasure map or directions on how to get to treasure. And the other side thinks that they're buying treasure, the actual treasure. On one side, we've got people that think that they're buying the artwork, the treasure, right? And that's what they think is value. And the other side, we have people exploiting those people and selling treasure maps, how to get to the treasure. So what I wanted to highlight in the project is a lot of people were saying that the image is valuable, the artwork is valuable because it's stored on the blockchain. It's not stored on the blockchain. It's just a hyperlink.
Wait, hold on a second. When I buy an NFT of a Bored Ape or a Lazy Lion, I'm not actually purchasing that picture? What am I actually buying?
Nope. You're essentially buying a piece of data, and that data has a link to where the image can be located.
So like a URL? Is that what you're saying?
It's a URL. Go look at Etherscan and look at the contract and have a look at it. Literally, people are buying a link, like directions on a treasure map to a treasure. And they're saying that the treasure is the artwork. And the only reason people are buying stuff is for the treasure or the artwork. But what's actually being sold is the directions to the treasure.
Wait a second. I know a lot of people, like, why not just host the file on the blockchain? Why not just host the picture on the blockchain?
Because the cost. In 2016, it was calculated it would cost $76,000 per gigabyte to store on the blockchain.
Oh, it's got to have gotten worse, way worse.
There's been blockchain size increases and the costs have got worse. It'd be nice to do that calculation again. But yeah, so back to your original question. What's in the torrent? Well, it contains chunks of blockchain data, the NFTs themselves, and the rest is, if you're from a Unix background, fallocate. Now, when I launched the project, I said specifically that this would be uploaded to Internet Archive, and it's now on the Internet Archive, and it serves as just an example of the art project, of spreading the message of what people are actually purchasing, and it compressed from 18 terabytes down to 12 gigabytes.
You're going to really people off with this one. I got to tell you, Jeffrey. Finding this out, I do find it ironic that, number one, I was so excited about this. I just took it at face value. But also, I noticed a lot of media companies did, too. I mean, you got the BBC, The Verge, Vice, and many more to run articles about this NFT heist. I guess you heisted the NFTs, but everyone's thinking of you like right-clicking NFTs. But you didn't do that.
No. It's actually quite dangerous to heist all the NFTs, because if you think about it, what's actually happening is an NFT, by definition, is essentially an artwork, is a linking to a file.
Yeah.
Right? And if you were to download all the links to file, and then you were to share that with the world, that's actually quite legally dangerous.
Oh, right. Well, because it could have anything on there anyways.
It's the internet. It can have anything. IPFS is essentially the dark web, right? And anyone can put anything onto the blockchain. Anyone can put anything onto the blockchain. And so if you're talking about downloading all the links from all the blockchain and then serving that, that's probably a bad idea.
Was that an intended effect of this whole project? Is that like most people would not only confuse you, but also just take you at face value? Sort of like what people are doing with NFTs, where I'm buying a Bored Ape. I see a picture of a Bored Ape, so I assume that's what I'm buying. But in actual fact, you're telling me I'm actually buying a hyperlink or like a pointer to that file, which I technically do not own. I mean, or do I? It's confusing.
You don't own it. Yeah, it is confusing. There actually are some NFTs, and to be clear, there's some NFTs where the quality of the NFT is so poor, it's like pixel art, that they don't need to link it to elsewhere. They don't need a link as a hyperlink. But that is like the exception. Most are actually hyperlinks to an image. Kotaku described it as the heist of the century, right? Because like all the NFTs have been downloaded. It always was a performance artwork, just to write that there on popular culture of everyone. One side is saying these have value, and the other side is saying they don't have value. And it was just this beautiful pop culture piece to like focus the narrative on educating people what they're actually buying. So in some ways, yes, it was a heist, but it wasn't the heist of the actual images. Well, it was actually somewhat of a media heist.
Yeah, and also kind of the heist of what the NFTs actually are, right? Because you did actually download the blockchain in the NFT bay. So in a way, you actually have the what actually those people own, which is the hyperlinks, but you don't have the files, which they also don't have, which is kind of, yeah, that I get. I get what you're doing. You're gonna piss a lot of people off with this one, but I do have to ask. Okay, do you own the IFPS like address? Like, let's say I buy a Pudgy Penguin. Do I own that domain where the file's located? What do I own?
You own an entry in a database that directs you how to access that image on IPFS. That's it.
So theoretically, someone could go in and change the data at the IFPS or the drive link or wherever they're storing the data.
Happens all the time. If you're following NFTs and the developments, it's called a rug pull. They sell the database entry on blockchain, and blockchain is immutable and it cannot be updated. But they host the image elsewhere, say on Google Photos or Google Drive. And then once the art is sold, the database entry is sold, they just switch it to a picture of a rug.
Okay. So,
yeah.
So it's a play on the rug pull. That's good. That's really, is that common?
It's super common. So this isn't a rug pull. This is something else. We're originally, and always was, meant to be something that's a little bit funny. It's a pop cultural reference and also spark conversation about intellectual property ownership and is the NFT valuable?
It is funny that all these people who see themselves as like seeing through what an NFT is covered your piece but didn't understand actually what it was. Myself sort of included. Here's my thought. If this is all true, like, doesn't this mean that people who, the joke of like right click, save as, you know, of somebody else's NFT picture, whatever, it's kind of like they own it more than you do as the NFT owner. You own the blockchain like database link. Like you own a link. You don't even own the link. You just have a link. They own the actual data. Who owns the Pudgy Penguin more? The guy with the actual data or the guy with like the pointer to the data?
That's what's so funny. That's why I use the expression treasure maps and treasure, right? So if you have the treasure, the Pudgy Penguin, you have the treasure. Meanwhile, everyone is selling links or links to the treasure. Now, this is the funny thing. Let's say the Pudgy Penguin exists on a web host somewhere.
Sure.
There's nothing stopping people from creating multiple links or multiple NFTs or multiple treasure maps to that treasure. And it happens all the time. There is no proof of authenticity. You can have one treasure and 1,000 treasure maps.
I guess they would argue, oh, it's just about who's creating the treasure map. If it's like, yeah, this is what's confusing to me. Look, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second here. I think a lot of people would say, okay, this is very cute, but everyone just sort of accepts NFTs have value, and there has to be a place for digital artists. This is where I'm at. I think it's good that digital artists can make a living. I just think it's been hijacked by a bunch of scams. What do you think this means for what NFTs are or could be sold as?
It's a tough question. I suppose we have to look at where we are right now in society. If we look at things very carefully, we have over $1 billion in venture capital invested by venture capitalists. Like a solid $1 billion of venture capital is being poured into the technology industry to find a use for blockchain. Now, technologists have yet to find a proper use for blockchain. We're still trying to find the use. At the same time, we have social media influencers that are available for purchase. And then finally, we have the final thing, which is the communities. We have DAOs, which are essentially you buy a token. The token, the best way I can explain that is timeshare. So to join the community, you buy a piece of timeshare, and now your ownership of that timeshare, you're now incentivized to promote it. So we've got companies who invested money in, we've got venture capitalists who invested a lot of money into companies, incentivized to promote. We've got social media influencers who are getting paid to promote and get a cut. And now all of a sudden we've got communities themselves that are now incentivized to promote. So it's really hard to tell what is natural. If we look back historically at how communities formed, people turn up around an art project because they love it. They think it's cool, it's got a vibe, it's got what else have you. But now with tokenization of everything, people are turning around and turning up because they can make coin. They're
financially vested in this thing doing well. I do think it's weird too. Look, sometimes when I call out scams, the community freaks out. I mean, because they are financially sort of vested. They're activist investors, basically, is what you can create if you sort of have these communities spring up. Do you think NFTs are worthless?
I don't know. I do know that a lot of people are being exploited and being left to hold the bag. It's funny you mention any criticism, because any criticism automatically gets said that's FUD.
Right.
Right? They just dismiss it all as FUD.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how rational of an argument you can put forward, that even the technology industry is seriously divided about these technologies, and we've yet to find a usage for it. But meanwhile, we've got art galleries with 1.4 million Twitter followers about to do an NFT gallery sale. And we've got people, I'm getting emails as a result of NFT Bay of people like, I don't have a job. I'm trying to put my son through college. I've just got some coin. I got the crypto.com wallet. I've got the Coinbase wallet. Which coins should I purchase? Can you give me some free NFTs? I want to change my life.
I think a lot of people are going to take issue with the idea there's been no use found for it. I think a lot of people are going to say, okay, yeah, it's a new technology. They're going to liken it to the internet. Look, the internet, you couldn't have expected much early on. You would have missed what it's going to become and how it's going to change everything. They would say, look, same thing with crypto. Give us 10 years. We'll build that future. You kind of got to just trust us.
It's factually correct that we've yet to find actual use for this technology. Yet. Doesn't mean that in the future we may not
money.
Find
I mean, as a currency. I mean, as these smart chain things, they're really interesting. I think there's some cool uses of it. I think you could make the argument, oh, you can do everything that you can do on a smart chain in a website or whatever. But I guess the idea is that you can decentralize it. You don't have to have anything running it. You can replace a lot of fin stuff with new fintechs. I don't know. I think you could find something.
Yeah, but I'm open. I went through the early internet and I see a lot of things that people are building. It reminds me of the early internet. So I'm open that there could be value in the future.
Right.
But the thing that worries me right now and especially in the NFT space, I'm getting emails from people essentially saying I'm buying coins because I hope to change my life. Like, so we still haven't found utility, and meanwhile, these coins are increasing in value. There's these. If you go to Twitter Spaces, Coffee, and just any of the Twitter Spaces, you'll hear the scams are so brazen.
Oh,
it's all pump and dump.
Absolutely agree. I mean, I share your deep concern that a lot of these coins are going to just wreck people.
I suppose what I'm getting at is now the right time for those for those people who are desperate and who could be exploited to be getting into crypto.
No, but you can't stop them from trying, and people are all very excited about the technology. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think a lot of people who missed the tech boom are trying to get in on the blockchain and get themselves rich without understanding what's sort of going on. And this is why I find this project actually so interesting, is because you're sort of uncovering that like a lot of us do not understand NFTs too well. Like here's another question. When I buy an NFT, do I own the copyright to that NFT?
Some NFTs, yes. There are things like Bored Ape Yacht Club. They specifically have gone out there and said that you do. Right? Okay. And this is why you're starting to see things like Bored Ape Yacht Club on shoes, etc. Right. They are the exception. The majority of the things that you're seeing now that are created, that is not the case.
Do you think some people say
not even the picture?
Right. You're right. Yeah, you own the hyperlink to the picture. It's so confusing. Do you agree with people like Gary Vee who think that in the future all contracts are going to sort of be signed on the blockchain or done on the blockchain, or stuff like this? Like NFTs basically are going to be tokenized versions of ownership that could represent anything. A house, insurance contract, anything.
I've been thinking a lot about that, actually. I've been actually thinking of V2 of the NFT Bay. We've got something cooking, but that's not for now. But specifically been thinking about Gary Vee and what he's saying there. If you look at how people use their devices right now, like the younger generations, they create alternative accounts. They create sock puppet accounts. They're not under their real names.
Yeah.
Right. So the way they're using technology and their privacy model is very different. So if we go to that idea that everything's conducted on the blockchain, if we're talking about what the blockchain is, it means anyone can read how much money you have, where you shop, where you visit, which airline you use. Like, if everything is on the blockchain as they talk about, that essentially means anyone can read anything about your lives. And if we look at where we are right now in society, we're seeing a lot of pushback over Facebook and how Facebook is run and how they're using that information in bad ways. Sure. And if we hit this blockchain nirvana where everything's on the blockchain, we've created a world that is much worse than just Facebook. Instead of a singular company owning our data, no one essentially owns your data. Anyone can read your data, and that's anyone.
Right, because I guess right now we just have a bunch of wallet addresses, and so it seems like everyone's anonymous. We could fast forward this 5 years. Most of these wallet addresses are going to have names attached to them. You're going to see the Macy's, if the utopia comes true, I guess, you're going to see the Target blockchain. You're going to see, so when you see your buddy's wallet, you're going to see everywhere they shop.
Well, right now, there's actually two real huge identifiers. You can buy an ENS domain or .eth, and that will actually assign a name to a wallet, and that will actually de-anonymize the wallet. I've seen videos of yourself, Coffee, where you've looked at NFT scams where they've actually like that's the name. It's no longer a wallet address. It's a name you can talk over the radio with.
Right.
And the other thing is you can always see currently you can see how much money is in a wallet or how much money someone owns or has and how much money was transacted. But with NFTs, it's not necessarily just about money. It can be a contract. And right now the contract is a link to an image. What happens in the world, like we talk about the benefits of immutability, and data on the blockchain is immutable, and that is a great thing. But is it really? Like, if anyone can publish anything as a link and send it to your wallet, is that a great thing for society?
Yeah, I mean, you could send all sorts of crazy stuff.
Anything. And we learned a lot of lessons in Web 1, Web 2 about spam, did we not?
Sure. Yeah, well, you already see that in wallets where like in OpenSea, they've had to make it possible to hide certain parts because people were getting all these basically fake collections spammed into their wallets, famous people's wallets, so that other people would see that and perceive value to that collection.
Well, that's exactly it. So what we've managed to create right now in the NFT space is a world where you got to spend money to get rid of images that someone has sent you in the spam. Now, individual, like OpenSea, they have the ability to hide said images and wallets, but that data is always there on the blockchain. What happens if that what is sent to you is not... What happens if what was sent to you was not just like some art to try and pump their own collection? What happens if it was something worse?
Like illegal material, basically.
Well, I'll give you an example. We had things like the fappening, right? All the celebrities, their nudes got hacked.
Sure.
What happens when some person publishes the fappening, and essentially right now you can publish that information onto their social media profile, and it's like them nude, and it's immutable. It's always on the blockchain, and you can never get rid of it.
Quit talking to us about the negatives, Jeffrey. I want to hear about how to pump my bags.
Yeah, so that's an example. That is an example. So we've built these systems where essentially you have to pay money to
weird.
Burn the NFT, or the NFT, which could be abuse material.
Yeah.
But even if you burn it, it's always going to be attached to your name.
Right, the record
wallet.
of it will always be there. Yeah, I guess somebody theoretically could send you a token with your address in the metadata, like your personal address.
Yes, you could craft a token to docs.
Oh my gosh,
and it's permanently against your name.
That's terrible. And then everyone can see it.
It is. Everyone can see it. We will see tokens for doxing. So we've built this open world of utopian nirvana, and people are so focused on making money. Now I'm kind of getting into some ideas I have for future things to demonstrate points, but hopefully through this we're also sit down we're educating people as well. That in the future it's very possible we'll have tokens for doxing people, and it's permanently attached to your wallet address. And so the idea is, okay, I'll just burn my wallet. I'll get a new wallet. Yeah. It's easy to get a new wallet.
Right.
And then some person, you see the stuff that happens on YouTube and the drama. Mm-hmm. Like some person just like, oh, they got a new wallet. All right, let's dox them again. And there's no mitigations. There's no spam filters. There's no nothing. Anyone can write anything on the blockchain and send it to your wallet. It's an inbox, a spam inbox that anyone can write to with no mitigations right now.
I guess except that it costs them money.
If you can get your casino advertised on Kanye West's social media profile, is it worth the $100?
Definitely.
So cost isn't even a barrier.
So you're highlighting all these problems of a technology. Do you think that the innovations will scale? I mean, I think with all things, like usually technology tries to innovate to solve technology's problems that it's sort of created, and you sort of have all these knock-on second-order effects you didn't expect. Like you built a blockchain, oh great, oh, and then someone got doxed on your blockchain. Okay, well let's build some way to do that. Do you think that's viable, or are you like pessimistic about our ability to do that?
I don't know. What I do know is it's way too early for vulnerable people to be buying into an ecosystem where there's $1 billion of venture capital in. There's social media influencers creating hype and getting paid for it. And you've got communities who are incentivized to hype, right? And if someone isn't aware of these three factors in the ecosystem, they could confuse that for an ability to get rich. Now, as a result of the NFT Bay, I've actually had regulators from different governments contact me because they actually want to know about NFTs. They're finding it very hard to actually find someone who is not incentivized by NFTs, because everyone they speak to has either got a company or they've got NFTs they're trying to sell. Sure. So they can't even get a straight answer from a legislative point of view. Meanwhile, they're getting calls from people in their country saying, I invested all this money and I'm left holding the bag and I got scammed. Can you please do something?
Well, why are they going to you? You have all the NFTs. You're very heavily incentivized to... You got all of them to talk well about them. That's really interesting. Yeah, I imagine from a country standpoint, it's very hard to see. It does feel like people are divided. Either you have NFTs and you love NFTs and you're bullish, or you think it's all a scam. it's going nowhere. I mean, for me, I think 99% of what's going on is a scam. This is a little bit. It's not really brave to say. This is sort of a common opinion. I do think there will be some future uses for NFTs. I think that technology is pushing its way there. But I didn't know the data limitations, just how steep they were on fees. That really changes what I think maybe some of those innovations could be, because if it's going to be on-chain, if it's going to get the benefits of on-chain, it just costs so much money.
Exactly. That's actually the kind of the dirty secret of the Web3 movement, is how much exists on standard internet infrastructure. Like, they claim everything's on-chain,
right?
But the way to know if something's on-chain or not is really simple. When you click a button, did you get charged for clicking that button? It's that simple.
If any data changes hands, you had to pay for it on Web3.
Exactly. So that's how you know. If you're using a product, say OpenSea, and you click a link and you don't get charged for it, that means it's off-chain. It's that simple. So, and you'll know if you're paying, because I had to register an ENS domain a couple of weeks. So I'm bullish that something will be found.
Right.
But I think it's too early for the general
I think that's a good message.
Being pushed into this.
Right. It's where they don't even know, and like you said, even the experts are struggling to know where it's going. Why is the general population having this sort of shoved down their throats?
Why is this being mainlined into society when even the people who build the technology don't even know what we could do with the technology, and we're trying to still figure out the technology? And that's an underlining message really to the NFT community. They need to police their own community. They need to call out scammers in their community and obvious pumps and dumps, and actually work to make sure the name of NFT is not tarnished. Because if they don't, regulators will step in and regulate for them. And that's going to be a worse thing. And we may never actually find utility.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes regulators step in and they misunderstand the technology and actually make the situation worse. Yeah, I think I largely agree with you here, Jeffrey. And I think your NFT Bay is a really interesting project. Whether or not the pictures are there or not, the NFTs are there. That's the crazy thing, is I'm really having a hard time parsing from my brain that you own the NFTs but not the pictures. I've just thought that the NFTs are the pictures and vice versa.
And that's one of the reasons that I've been laughing for a little bit. It was 2 weeks ago since the launch that one half is saying, thank you for backing up all the NFTs. We fully aware that the artwork is not backed up on chain. Thank you for backing it all up. And at the same time, they're also saying that the artwork has no value. It's the contract, the NFT, the contract that has value. Meanwhile, the other side is saying, oh, we're just going to right-click save the treasure, the NFT. And they're saying that it doesn't have value. So essentially, the NFT Bay, it's upside down. It contains the actual NFTs, not the JPEGs.
It does make me wonder what happens when all this Web 2 infrastructure breaks down. Let's say you have a Google Drive link that has your image, right? And somebody forgets to keep paying Google for, their extra storage space or whatever. Your file gets deleted. Now what is your NFT worth?
It's happened. It happens all the time. People have dropped millions on these contracts that link to an image host, and that image host goes offline. Like, if it links to an internet domain name and that domain name doesn't get registered anymore, that means anyone in the world can go register that domain name and they can put any image in that person's art gallery.
Oh boy, that's going to go bad. I know that's going to happen. And when it does,
yes, it is.
That is going to be funny. So is it true that somebody screenshotted the NFT Bay website and sold it?
Yeah, it's true. It's actually hilarious. VVD, Vincent Van Dough, took a screenshot of the NFT Bay and then sold the hyperlink to the screenshot of the NFT Bay, made $18,000 for selling the treasure map to the treasure with the image, and then I took a screenshot of his auction result and I turned that into an NFT and called it the collector becomes the collected. And that is likely the only NFT that I'll ever create in its current incarnation and form. And well, if you're going to be talking about these things, you have to be authentic. You've got your action. How can you talk about it unless you have done it? So I created an NFT of the NFT of the NFT bay.
That can hold all the NFTs. Very interesting. You're a very interesting man, Jeffrey. I will link the website. I hope you guys learned something. That was the whole intention. When me and Jeffrey got together, we said, look, we want this to be educational. I hope you guys learned something. Thanks for watching. And yeah, find out what you really own. Thanks. See ya.